Monica Reyes kicked hard. The 73-year-old woman crashed face first onto concrete. Her food tray exploded. Mashed potatoes splattered across the floor. Milk carton burst open. The old woman's glasses flew off and skidded under a table. Monica stood over her, grinning. "Welcome to prison, Grandma. Crawl back to your cell before I really hurt you." 300 inmates watched. Nobody helped. Nobody dared. But Monica had just made the worst mistake of her life. The fragile old woman on that floor had spent 40 years teaching people exactly how to handle moments like this, and she was about to give Monica Reyes a lesson she would never forget. Before we begin, hit subscribe and follow this story to the end. Comment which city you're watching from. I want to see how far this story travels. Now let's get into it. The food tray hit concrete like a gunshot. Grace Whitfield felt impact shoot through her 73-year-old bones. Her knees struck the floor hard. Pain exploded up through her hips. Her palms scraped rough concrete and skin broke open. Laughter erupted everywhere. Look at Grandma. She can't even walk. Somebody called the nursing home. Grace stayed down. Her glasses had landed somewhere to her left. Without them, everything blurred into orange jumpsuits and harsh light. But she didn't need to see clearly. She knew exactly what had happened. Monica Reyes stood 3 feet away. 5 women flanked her like bodyguards protecting royalty. And here Grace realized Monica probably was royalty. "Hey, old lady," Monica's voice sliced through laughter. "You deaf? I'm talking to you." Grace said nothing. Her palms pressed flat against cold concrete. Her breathing stayed even, controlled. 40 years of training didn't disappear just because you retired. "Pick up your food," Monica ordered. "And next time, watch where you're walking. This ain't a retirement home." Dick. A heavy-set woman with a shaved head kicked Grace's scattered food toward her face. "Better hurry, Grandma. Lunch is almost over." More laughter. Grace lifted her head slowly. Without glasses, Monica was just a threatening shape that smelled like cheap soap and violence. "I asked to be left alone," Grace said quietly. Laughter stopped. Something in her voice made nearby inmates step backward. Monica didn't move. "What did you just say?" "I said I asked to be left alone." Grace's voice stayed soft, almost gentle, "and I don't ask twice." Nobody breathed. Then Monica laughed. Loud, harsh, forced. "You hear this? Grandma thinks she's tough." She turned to her crew. "Should I be scared?" They laughed with her, but their eyes kept darting back to the old woman on the floor. Something felt wrong. Grace didn't look afraid. She looked like she was waiting. Officer Marcus Williams watched from across the room. 15 years in corrections had taught him how to spot trouble. And right now, every instinct screamed that something was about to happen. The old woman's stillness bothered him. Even surrounded by hostiles, even on the ground, she didn't look like a victim. She looked like a coiled spring. Marcus decided to wait. Just a few more seconds. Monica grabbed Grace's collar and yanked upward. Fabric stretched tight against Grace's throat. "Listen to me, old lady." Monica pulled Grace's face close. "I run this block. I decide who eats. I decide who sleeps. I decide who breathes. You understand?" Grace's feet found the floor. She didn't struggle. "You're hurting yourself," she said. Monica blinked. "What?" "Your grip. You're putting pressure on your own wrist. If I wanted to, I could break it without moving my hands." Monica's crew exchanged glances. This wasn't how new inmates talked. This wasn't how anyone talked to Monica Reyes. "You threatening me?" Monica's voice rose. "You actually threatening me?" "No, I'm teaching you." "There's a difference." Monica's face twisted, her free hand pulled back, curling into a fist. "Nobody threatens me. Nobody." The punch came fast. A straight right aimed at Grace's face. Grace moved, not dramatically. She simply wasn't there when Monica's fist arrived. A slight shift, a small turn. The punch sailed past her ear. Monica stumbled forward. Her grip slipped. She spun around. Fury blazing. "What the—" Grace stood exactly where she had been, calm, centered, hands loose at her sides. "I don't want to fight you," Grace said. "I came here to serve my time quietly. That's all I want." "You think you can dodge and it's over," Monica breathed hard. "You think you can make me look stupid in front of everyone." She gestured to her crew. Jackie Torres and Destiny Banks moved forward, flanking Grace. Hold her arms." Grace's eyes moved from one woman to the other, measuring, calculating. Marcus Williams tensed. His hand tightened on his radio. But before he could move, Grace spoke. "Before you touch me, you should know something." Jackie hesitated. Destiny froze. I spent 40 years teaching martial arts, kung fu, traditional southern Chinese styles passed down through my family for 4 generations. Grace's eyes found Monica's. I retired 3 years ago because I believed my fighting days were finished. She paused. I was wrong. The cafeteria went silent. Even kitchen staff stopped moving. Monica forced a hollow laugh. You expect me to believe that some old accountant knows kung fu? I don't expect you to believe anything, but I'm giving you a choice I don't have to give. Walk away, leave me alone, pretend this never happened. Grace straightened to her full height. Suddenly, she didn't look 73 anymore. Her spine was straight, her shoulders squared, her feet shifted into a stance that looked casual but felt dangerous. Because if you touch me again, I will defend myself. And I don't think you want that. 300 inmates held their breath. This wasn't how prison worked. New inmates didn't stand up to Monica Reyes. Old inmates definitely didn't. Nobody threatened to fight back. Monica felt every stare in the room. Her reputation built over 7 years was being challenged by a woman old enough to be her grandmother. If she backed down now, she was finished. That couldn't happen. Jackie? Destiny, I said hold her. The 2 women moved. Grace tracked them both. Her breathing stayed even, her hands stayed at her sides. But something changed in her posture, a subtle settling, like a tree digging roots deeper into earth. Marcus saw it. He didn't understand it, but he knew something very bad was about to happen. Jackie Torres reached Grace first. 5'11", 200 pounds arms that could crush smaller people. She grabbed for Grace's left wrist. Her hand closed on empty air. Grace had moved. A half step right, a slight rotation, and suddenly she was beside Jackie instead of in front of her. Jackie spun. What the... Grace's palm struck her solar plexus. The sound was soft, a muffled thump, but Jackie's eyes went wide. Her mouth opened. No sound came out. All air had been driven from her lungs. She doubled over, gasping. Destiny came fast from the other side. Arms reaching, she never made contact. Grace pivoted, caught Destiny's arm, used her momentum against her. A simple technique. Redirect the force. Let your opponent defeat themselves. Destiny flew. Actually left her feet. Sailed 6 feet through air before crashing into a table. Inmates scattered. Trays clattered. Someone screamed. Grace stood in the center of chaos, untouched. Breathing unchanged. Expression unchanged. She looked disappointed in them. Monica's mind refused to process what she was seeing. Jackie on her knees, struggling to breathe. Destiny tangled in an overturned table. And the old woman standing there like a statue. What? Monica whispered. What are you? I already told you. I asked to be left alone. Something snapped inside Monica. Rage and fear combined into explosive impulse. She charged, a full-body tackle, 200 pounds aimed at driving Grace to the ground. Grace waited until the last second, then stepped aside. Her foot swept out. Her hand pressed against Monica's back. Physics did the rest. Monica flew face first into concrete. Blood sprayed from her nose. Vision exploded into stars. She tried to get up. Couldn't. Her body refused. Grace stood over her. For the first time, she looked something other than calm. She looked set. Violence should always be the last option, Grace said, kneeling beside Monica. I spent 40 years teaching that principle. 40 years believing wisdom could prevent conflict. She reached out and gently turned Monica's face, examining damage. Your nose isn't broken. Bleeding will stop in minutes. You'll have bruises, but nothing permanent. Monica stared up through tear-blurred eyes. Why didn't you... Kill you, cripple you, because that's not who I am. And I don't think that's who you really are, either. Grace stood. But if you ever touch me again, if you ever target me or anyone under my protection, you'll learn that mercy has limits. Marcus Williams finally moved. Quick strides across the cafeteria. Chen, step away. Hands where I can see them. Grace complied immediately. Of course, officer. Williams looked at the scene. 3 gang members down. 1 gasping, 1 groaning, 1 bleeding, and 1 73-year-old woman hot without a scratch. What the hell happened here? I was attacked. I defended myself. Defended yourself? Williams shook his head. Lady, I've worked corrections 15 years. Never seen anyone defend themselves like that. Grace smiled, almost grandmotherly. Perhaps you've never met a kung fu instructor before. The cafeteria remained frozen. 300 inmates processed what they had witnessed. The old woman had won. Not just one dominated. 3 fighters down and she wasn't even breathing hard, except for her eyes. Those eyes held something that made people look away, something that said she had seen things they couldn't imagine and chosen to walk away from all of it until today. Rosa Martinez stood near the back food tray, forgotten, 24 years old, serving 2 years for assault. 8 months inside had taught her one rule: keep your head down. But now, watching this elderly woman stand triumphant over Monica Reyes, Rosa felt something shift. It was possible, actually possible, to fight back and win. For 8 months she had accepted Big Carol's harassment. Stolen commissary, pushed trays, whispered threats. She had told herself it was just how things were. But what if it wasn't? Rosa looked at the old woman and saw something she hadn't seen since coming here. Dignity. She wanted to learn how to be like that, more than she had wanted anything in a long time. Williams escorted Grace toward the exit, speaking into his radio. Williams to control. 3 inmates down in main cafeteria, requesting medical and backup. Yeah, 3 down, 1 senior citizen responsible. I'll explain when I get there. Grace walked beside him, hands raised, pace unhurried. You know you're going to solitary for this, he said. I assumed as much. Might add time to your sentence. Perhaps. You don't seem worried. Grace glanced at him. Officer Williams, I'm 73. I came here for tax evasion. I expected to serve quietly and go home. I didn't want any of this. But when someone decides to make you a victim, you have a choice. Accept it or don't. I chose not to. They reached the administrative corridor. Williams paused. That thing you did in there, never seen anyone move like that, especially not someone your age. Age is a number, officer. What matters is what you do with time you're given. You said you were a kung fu instructor. 40 years. Opened my studio in 1978 San Francisco Chinatown. My father taught me. His father taught him. Williams opened the door. So why'd you stop? Grace's smile faded. Because I got old. My joints ached. I thought I had taught my last student. I was tired. Wanted to rest. She stepped through. But it seems the universe had other plans. News traveled like wildfire. By evening count, every inmate knew. An old woman had been tripped. The old woman had fought back. 3 gang members were in medical. Monica Reyes had been humiliated. Details grew elaborate with each retelling. Some said the old woman had killed before. Others claimed she was a secret agent. A few insisted they had always known something was different about her. But truth was simpler. Grace Whitfield was exactly who she had always been, a woman who spent her life teaching discipline and strength. A woman who believed in peace but understood violence. A woman who would not allow herself to become a victim. And the prison was never going to be the same. In solitary, Grace sat on a thin mattress. Walls were gray. Light was dim. Only sound was distant ventilation. She closed her eyes. Her father's voice echoed in memory. Grace, come here. Watch my hands. She was 12 again, standing in the small studio her father had built behind their house. Sunlight streamed through paper screens. Dust motes floated in golden beams. Henry Whitfield moved through a form she had seen 1,000 times. His body flowed like water, each movement precise yet effortless. Kung Fu means skill achieved through hard work, Eddie, he said without stopping. It is not about fighting. Then what is it about, father? He completed the form and turned to face her. His eyes were gentle but serious. Becoming stronger, becoming better, becoming the person you were always meant to be. But you can fight, I've seen you. Henry nodded slowly. Yes, I can fight, but fighting is the last thing Kung Fu teaches. First comes discipline, then patience, then understanding, then compassion, and then fighting, and then the wisdom to know when fighting is necessary and when it is not. Grace had spent 60 years learning that lesson, 60 years of training, teaching, growing, 60 years of believing that wisdom could prevent most conflicts. Today had proven that sometimes wisdom wasn't enough. Sometimes you had to fight. She opened her eyes. The memory faded, but her father's words remained. Becoming the person you were always meant to be. Grace had believed she had finished becoming. At 73, with a lifetime behind her, she thought she had achieved everything. She was wrong. There were people here who needed what she knew, not just fighting though that might be necessary again, but the other things. Confidence, discipline, the knowledge that strength came from within. Monica had built power on fear, but fear was weak. It crumbled at the first real test. Grace had shown that today. Now the question was what happened next. Monica lay in medical, staring at the ceiling through swollen eyes. Her nose was packed with gauze. Her face throbbed with every heartbeat. But physical pain was nothing compared to what she felt inside. Humiliation. Complete. Total. Devastating. 7 years of building her reputation, 7 years of fights and threats and careful intimidation, gone. Destroyed by an old lady who moved like water and hit like lightning. "How you feeling?" a voice came from nearby. Monica turned her head. Jackie Torres sat on the next bed, arm wrapped in bandages, face pale. "Like I got hit by a truck," Monica muttered. "Yeah, me too." Jackie winced as she shifted. "What the hell was that? Who is she?" "Some kind of kung fu master, that's what she said." "You believe her?" Monica closed her eyes. "Jackie, she put 3 of us down in 30 seconds. She didn't even get touched. Yeah, I believe her." Silence stretched between them. "What are we going to do?" Jackie finally asked. "Word's already spreading. Everyone knows what happened. By tomorrow, the whole prison's going to think we're weak." "We are weak." The words tasted like poison in Monica's mouth. Compared to her, we're nothing. "So that's it. 7 years, and it's over." Monica didn't answer. She kept seeing the old woman's eyes. Calm, clear, no anger, no hatred, just sadness. Why sadness? Monica had tried to hurt her, had ordered her crew to attack, had done everything possible to establish dominance, and the old woman had looked sad about having to stop her, not triumphant, not vengeful, sad. It didn't make sense. In Monica's world, you crushed enemies completely, or they crushed you. No middle ground, no compassion, no second chances. But the old woman had given her one. She had shown mercy. Monica didn't understand mercy, didn't trust it. Mercy was weakness. Mercy got you killed. Except the old woman wasn't weak. She was the strongest person Monica had ever faced. "So why show mercy, Jackie?" Monica said slowly. "Yeah? That old lady, she checked on us after she put us down, made sure we weren't seriously hurt, said my nose wasn't broken, told me the bleeding would stop." So why would she do that? Why would she care? Jackie was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know, maybe she's crazy." "She's not crazy. She knew exactly what she was doing. Every move she made was controlled, precise, like she'd done it a million times." "Then why?" Monica opened her eyes and stared at the ceiling. "I don't know, but I'm going to find out." In cell block D, the atmosphere had shifted. Women who had walked with heads down now stood straighter. Conversations whispered in fear were now spoken at normal volume. The invisible weight pressing down on everyone began to lift. One woman had changed everything. Not through threats or violence, though she was clearly capable of both. She had changed things by refusing to be a victim, by standing up, by proving it was possible. Rosa Martinez lay in her bunk, unable to sleep. She kept replaying the scene. The old woman's calm voice, her steady hands. The way she moved not with desperate fear, but with controlled precision. "I asked to be left alone, and I don't ask twice." Those words echoed in Rosa's mind. For 8 months, Big Carol had made her life miserable, stealing her commissary, pushing her in the shower, making comments about her family. Rosa had accepted it because that's what you did. You found your place and stayed there. But what if she didn't have to? What if she could stand up like the old woman had? Rosa didn't want to fight. Fighting had gotten her here in the first place, a bar brawl that went too far, a woman who wouldn't stop pushing a moment of rage that cost her 2 years. But the old woman hadn't just fought. She had something else. Something that made people step back before fists were thrown. Presence. Confidence. Dignity. Rosa wanted that. Wanted to walk through the world like she mattered. Like no one could make her feel small unless she let them. Tomorrow, she decided. Tomorrow she would find the old woman. She would ask if it was possible to learn. Not fighting. The other thing. The thing that made someone refuse to be a victim. In the administrative wing, Warden Patricia Hayes reviewed security footage for the 4th time. 12 years running this facility. Every type of inmate. Every type of incident. Every type of violence humans could inflict. Nothing like this. The old woman moved like a ghost. One moment in Monica's grip. Next moment somewhere else entirely. Strikes almost invisible, small, precise movements that sent larger women flying. "Play it again," Hayes said. Footage rewound. Played. Grace Whitfield neutralized 3 fighters in less than 30 seconds. "Who is she?" Hayes murmured. The technician pulled up Grace's file. Grace Whitfield, 73, tax evasion, First offense, no prior record, owned an accounting firm in Houston. And before that, before the accounting firm, the technician scrolled. Nothing here, just says small business owner. That's not possible. Hayes pointed at the screen. Nobody fights like that without serious training. Find out everything about this woman. I want to know where she learned that. Yes, ma'am. Hayes turned back to the screen. Grace stood calmly in the center of chaos. Something told Hayes this woman was going to change everything about how this prison operated. She just didn't know yet whether that was good or bad. The next morning, 2 guards came to Grace's cell. Chen, warden wants to see you. Grace rose smoothly. Of course. They escorted her through corridors that had become unfamiliar in the fog of her first days here. But today, everything felt different. Guards nodded at her as she passed. Their eyes held something that might have been respect. Word had spread, even among staff. The warden's office was larger than Grace expected. Dark wood furniture, American flag in the corner, certificates on the walls. Patricia Hayes sat behind a massive desk reading a file. She looked up when Grace entered. Sit down, Mrs. Whitfield. Grace sat. Hayes studied her for a long moment. I've been reviewing yesterday's incident, watching the footage, reading the reports. I understand, Warden. Do you? Hayes leaned forward. 3 inmates in medical, 1 with cracked ribs, all taken down by a 73-year-old accountant in under 30 seconds. I was defending myself. I can see that. Hayes tapped the file. What I can't see is how. Your intake file says nothing about martial arts training. Nothing about any combat experience. According to this, you're a retired accountant who got caught cheating on taxes. Grace allowed herself a small smile. The intake process doesn't ask about hobbies, Warden. Hobbies? Hayes almost laughed. Mrs. Whitfield, what you did in that cafeteria wasn't a hobby. I've seen professional fighters who couldn't do what you did. I understand your concern. I don't think you do. Hayes stood and walked to the window. This prison operates on a delicate balance. Certain inmates have power. That power keeps order. Disrupting that power creates chaos. Monica Reyes, among others. Hayes turned to face her. You humiliated her, in front of everyone. Her crew is scattered. Her authority is shattered. Do you understand what that means? It means the women she was victimizing might feel safe for the first time. Hayes's expression shifted. Surprise flickered across her face. That's not the answer I expected. Grace met her eyes steadily. Warden, I didn't come here looking for trouble. I came to serve my time and go home. But I will not allow myself to be victimized. And I will not stand by while others are victimized either. That's a dangerous position to take in a prison. I've been in dangerous positions before. Hayes returned to her desk and sat heavily. Tell me about your training. The real story, not what's in your file. Grace was quiet for a moment. Then she spoke. My father was Henry Whitfield. He opened a martial arts studio in San Francisco in 1952, one of the first Chinese Americans to teach kung fu publicly in this country. He faced discrimination threats, violence, but he never stopped teaching. And he taught you. From the time I was 8 years old, traditional southern Chinese kung fu, the same styles his father learned in Guangdong province before immigrating. Why isn't this in your file? Because I retired 3 years ago, closed my studio, stopped teaching. I thought that chapter of my life was finished. Grace paused. I was wrong. Hayes drummed her fingers on the desk. Mrs. Whitfield, I have a problem. 3 gang members are in medical because of you. Technically, I should add time to your sentence. Put you in segregation for the duration. Make an example. I understand. But, Hayes held up a hand. I've also reviewed the footage very carefully. You were clearly the victim of an unprovoked attack. You used proportional force. You even provided first aid to your attackers afterward. Violence should be the last option, and when it's necessary, it should be controlled. That's not a philosophy I hear often from inmates. I'm not most inmates, Warden. Hayes was silent for a long moment. Then she made a decision. I'm not adding to your sentence. You'll be released from solitary today and return to general population. But Mrs. Whitfield, I'm warning you, if there's another incident, I won't be so understanding. There won't be another incident unless someone forces one. See that they don't? Grace stood. May I ask a question, Warden? Go ahead. The women in this prison, the ones who aren't in gangs, the ones who just want to serve their time and go home, How many of them are being victimized right now, extorted, threatened, abused? Hayes' face hardened. That's not something I can discuss with you. I'm not asking you to discuss it. I'm asking you to think about it. Grace moved toward the door. What happened yesterday, me standing up to Monica Reyes, that's going to have ripple effects. Some women are going to feel hope for the first time. They're going to think maybe they don't have to be victims. And maybe that's not a bad thing. Grace opened the door. Mrs. Whitfield? Hayes' voice stopped her. Yes, Warden. My father was military, served in Korea. He used to say that real strength isn't about fighting. It's about knowing when not to fight. Grace smiled. Your father sounds like a wise man. He was. Hayes paused. Don't make me regret this decision. I won't, Warden. Grace stepped into the corridor, guards flanking her. Behind her, Patricia Hayes stared at the closed door for a long time. Then she picked up her phone. Get me everything you can find on Grace Whitfield, and I mean everything. Word of Grace's release from solitary spread even faster than word of the fight. By the time she returned to cell block D, a crowd had gathered near her cell. Women who had never spoken to her before suddenly wanted to be seen near her. Women who had ignored her now nodded respectfully as she passed. Grace ignored them all. She walked to her cell, stepped inside, and closed the door. She needed to think. The dynamic had shifted. She was no longer invisible. No longer the fragile old woman everyone overlooked. Now she was something else. Something dangerous. And dangerous people attracted attention. Some would seek her protection. Others would test her. Monica's rivals might try to recruit her. Monica herself might seek revenge. Every option carried risks. A knock on her cell door interrupted her thoughts. Mrs. Whitfield. Grace turned. A young woman stood in the doorway. Hispanic mid-20s nervous eyes that kept darting up and down the corridor. Yes, I'm Rosa Martinez. I was in the cafeteria yesterday. I saw what you did. A lot of people saw what I did. Yeah, but... Rosa hesitated. Can I come in just for a minute? Grace studied her, young, scared, but something in her eyes suggested she was tired of being scared. Come in. Rosa stepped inside, staying close to the door. Her hands twisted together nervously. I wanted to thank you, she said, for what you did, for standing up to Monica. I didn't stand up to her. I defended myself. There's a difference. Maybe. But it felt like more than that. It felt like you were showing everyone that we don't have to just take it. You know, we don't have to be victims just because someone decides to make us one. Grace sat on her bunk and gestured to the small plastic chair. Sit down, Rosa. Tell me what's happening to you. Rosa sat slowly, still nervous. There's this woman, Big Carol. She's been hassling me since I got here, taking my commissary, pushing me around, making comments about my family. And you've been accepting it. What else can I do? She's bigger than me, stronger. She's got friends. I fight back, I get hurt, I report it, I get hurt worse. So you've been surviving. Yeah, Rosa's voice dropped. But I'm tired of just surviving. I want to feel like myself again, like I matter. Grace was quiet for a moment. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. Real strength isn't about fighting. It's about knowing when not to fight. Rosa, let me ask you something. When Big Carol takes your commissary, how do you stand? What do you mean, Shirts? Your posture, your body language. When she approaches you, what do you do? Rosa thought about it. I guess I look down, hunch my shoulders, try to make myself smaller. And what do you think that tells her, Shri, that I'm scared? That you're prey? Grace leaned forward. Predators look for weakness. They look for people who won't fight back. Your body language tells them everything they need to know before a single word is spoken. So I should stand up straighter. It's more than that. It's about presence. About occupying space without apologizing for it. About projecting confidence even when you don't feel confident. Rosa's eyes widened. Can you teach me that? Grace considered the question carefully. Teaching had been her life. For 40 years, she had passed on the knowledge her father gave her to hundreds of students. She had believed that chapter was closed. But here was someone who needed help, someone who was being victimized and wanted to change that, someone who was asking not how to fight, but how to be strong. How could she say no? I can show you some basic techniques, Grace said finally. Posture, breathing, mental discipline, ways to center yourself when you feel afraid. Really? Hope flooded Rosa's face. But Rosa, you have to understand something. What I teach isn't about fighting. It's about becoming stronger, becoming the person you were meant to be. I want that. I want that more than anything. Grace nodded slowly. Then we'll start tomorrow. After morning count, meet me in the yard. Thank you. Rosa's voice trembled with emotion. Thank you so much, Mrs. Whitfield. Call me Grace. Rosa stood, then hesitated at the door. Grace, can I ask you something? Of course. Yesterday in the cafeteria, when you were fighting, you didn't look angry, you didn't look scared, you looked sad. Why? Grace was quiet for a long moment. Because violence is always a failure, she said finally. A failure of communication, a failure of understanding, a failure of compassion. When I have to fight it means every other option has failed, and that makes me sad. Rosa nodded slowly as if the answer meant something important to her. I think I understand. Good. Now go. I need to rest. Rosa left and Grace was alone again. But something had changed. For the first time since arriving at this prison, she felt like she had a purpose. Not just to survive. To teach. To help others find the strength they didn't know they had. Just like her father had done for her so many years ago. In medical, Monica Reyes stared at the ceiling. The other patients had been released. Jackie's ribs were wrapped, not broken. Destiny's concussion was mild. Only Monica remained, though her injuries were the least severe. She couldn't face going back yet. Couldn't face the looks, the whispers, the gradual erosion of everything she had built. A guard appeared at her bedside. Reyes, you're cleared for release. Time to go. Already? Doctor says you're fine. Just bruising. Let's move. Monica sat up slowly. Her body ached, but the pain was fading. What wasn't fading was the memory of the old woman's eyes. Calm, clear, sad. Why sad? The question had haunted her all night. Monica had attacked her, tried to humiliate her, ordered her crew to hurt her, and the old woman had looked sad about having to stop it. Not triumphant, not vengeful, sad. Like a parent disappointed in a child. Monica walked back to cell block D on legs that felt unsteady. Not from physical weakness, from something else. Something she couldn't quite name. Everything looked different now. Women who had once stepped aside when she passed now held their ground. Eyes that had looked down now met hers, directly. The invisible web of fear that had given her power was dissolving thread by thread. She reached her cell and stepped inside. Jackie was waiting. How you feeling? Like garbage? Monica sat on her bunk. How's the block, How? Different. Jackie's voice was careful. People are talking. About the old woman. About what happened. What are they saying? That she's some kind of master. That she could have killed us if she wanted. That she showed mercy. Jackie paused. That maybe things are going to change around here. What kind of change? I don't know, but people are hopeful. Some of the women who used to pay us protection, they're asking questions, wondering if they still need to. Monica closed her eyes. So it's falling apart. Maybe. Jackie hesitated. Or maybe it's something else. What do you mean? Monica, that old woman beat us, all three of us, in seconds, but she didn't hurt us more than she had to. She checked on us afterward, made sure we were okay. I know, I was there. So why would she do that? Monica opened her eyes. That's what I've been trying to figure out. And I don't know Jackie. I don't understand people like her. In my world, you crush your enemies, or they crush you. No middle ground. Maybe, Jackie's voice was hesitant, maybe there's another way. Another way? I don't know, but that old woman, she's strong. Stronger than anyone I've ever seen, and she chose not to crush us. Maybe that's a different kind of strength. Monica was quiet for a long time. Then she said something that surprised them both. I want to talk to her. What? The old woman. Grace Whitfield. I want to talk to her. Are you crazy after what happened? Maybe. Monica swung her legs off the bunk and stood. But I need to understand. I need to know, Bhaskar, why she showed me mercy when I would never have shown her the same. And if it's a trap, then I'll deal with that. Monica walked to her cell door and looked out at the corridor. Women moved past, going about their routines. But everything felt different now. The air itself seemed lighter. Something was changing in this prison, and Monica Reyes was going to find out what it was, even if it meant facing the woman who had destroyed everything she'd built. Even if it meant learning something she wasn't sure she was ready to learn. The old woman had beaten her in 30 seconds. Maybe that was the first lesson, and maybe Monica thought she needed to learn what came next. Monica found Grace in the yard the next morning. The old woman stood near the fence, eyes closed, hands moving through slow patterns that looked like some kind of meditation. Around her, a small group had gathered. Rosa Martinez was there watching intently. 2 other women stood nearby, uncertain but curious. Monica stopped 20 feet away. Her crew, what was left of it, had begged her not to come. Jackie had called it suicide, but Monica needed answers more than she needed safety. Grace opened her eyes. Their gazes met across the dusty yard. Neither moved, neither spoke. The watching inmates held their breath, expecting violence. Grace broke the silence first. "You came. You knew I would. I hoped you would." Grace lowered her hands. "It takes courage to face someone who defeated you. Most people avoid that." Monica's jaw tightened. "I'm not here to fight." "I know." "Then what am I here for?" Grace studied her for a long moment. "You're here because you don't understand. You've spent 7 years building power through fear. Yesterday, that power crumbled in 30 seconds, and instead of destroying you completely, I showed you mercy." Monica's hands clenched into fists. "Why?" "Because mercy is strength. Real strength. The kind that doesn't need to prove itself by crushing others. That's not how this world works." "It's exactly how this world works. You just haven't learned it yet." Rosa stepped forward nervously. "Grace, maybe we should—" "It's all right, Rosa." Grace's voice stayed calm. "Monica isn't here to cause trouble. She's here to learn." "Learn?" Monica laughed bitterly. "Lady, I don't need to learn anything from you." "Then why are you here?" The question hung in the air. Monica opened her mouth to answer, but nothing came out. Because the truth was, she didn't know. She only knew that something had shifted inside her when she hit that cafeteria floor. Something that wouldn't let her rest until she understood. Grace waited. "I keep seeing your eyes, Bowles," Monica finally said. "When you stood over me, you looked sad. Not angry, not triumphant. Sad." "Yes." "Why I tried to hurt you. I ordered my crew to attack you. Why would you be sad?" Grace walked closer. Close enough that Monica could have hit her. Close enough to show she wasn't afraid. "Because I saw myself in you." Monica recoiled. "What?" 40 years ago, I was exactly where you are. Angry, violent, convinced that power was the only thing that mattered. I hurt people, Monica. People who didn't deserve it. I used my skills for dominance instead of protection. So what changed? My father died. The words fell like stones into still water. Rosa covered her mouth. The other watching inmates shifted uncomfortably. Grace's voice dropped lower. He was sick for years. Cancer. But he never stopped teaching. Never stopped believing in me, even when I had stopped believing in myself. The day before he died, he called me to his bedside. Monica found herself leaning forward despite herself. What did he say? He asked me one question. "Grace, are you proud of who you've become?" And I couldn't answer. I couldn't look him in the eyes and say yes, because I wasn't proud. I was ashamed. Grace's eyes glistened, but no tears fell. He died the next morning, and I spent every day since then trying to become someone he would be proud of. That's why I showed you mercy. Because someone showed me mercy once when I didn't deserve it. Monica stood frozen. She had expected lectures, demands, maybe even threats. She hadn't expected this. Hadn't expected to see her own pain reflected in an old woman's eyes. "You don't know anything about me," Monica whispered. "I know enough. I know you're angry. I know you're scared. I know you've been fighting so long you've forgotten there's any other way to live. You're wrong." "Am I?" Grace stepped even closer. "When was the last time you trusted someone, really trusted them? When was the last time you let anyone see you without your armor?" Monica's mask cracked, just for a second. Just enough for Grace to see the terrified girl hiding beneath the hardened criminal. "I can't," Monica said. "I can't be weak. Not here. They'll destroy me." Weakness and vulnerability aren't the same thing. Being vulnerable takes more courage than being hard. Easy for you to say, you can fight. So can you. I'll teach you. The offer landed like a bomb. Rosa gasped. The watching inmates erupted in whispers. Monica stared at Grace like she had spoken in a foreign language. "What?" "I said I'll teach you. Not just how to fight, you already know that. I'll teach you how to be strong without being cruel, how to lead without fear, how to become someone you're proud of." "Why would you do that after what I did to you?" Grace smiled. It was the saddest, most hopeful smile Monica had ever seen, because that's what my father would have done. 3 days passed. Word spread through the prison that Monica Reyes had joined Grace Whitfield's morning sessions in the yard. The news landed like an earthquake. Former allies wondered if it was a trick. Former enemies wondered if it was weakness. Everyone wondered what it meant. Grace taught them all the same way. Posture first, then breathing, then stillness. Stand like you matter, she told Rosa during their 4th session. Not aggressive, not defensive, just present. Like you have every right to occupy this space. Rosa adjusted her stance. Her shoulders dropped back. Her chin lifted. Her feet found a wider, more stable base. Better, Grace said. Now breathe deep into your belly. Feel the ground beneath you. I feel stupid, Rosa muttered. You look strong. There's a difference between feeling and appearing. Eventually, the feeling will match the appearance. Nearby, Monica stood apart from the group watching. She hadn't participated yet, just observed. Grace hadn't pushed her. Why do you let her watch? Rosa asked quietly. After everything she did. Because she's not ready yet. Pushing her would break her. Break her? She's Monica Reyes. She's broken plenty of people. Hurt people hurt people. Grace adjusted Rosa's arm position. Monica didn't become who she is by accident. Someone made her that way. Many someones, probably. Until I understand that I can't help her. Rosa frowned. You want to help her? She's a monster. No, she's a person who learned to survive by becoming monstrous. There's a difference. The session continued for another hour. More women joined 6, now up from 3 the day before. Grace moved among them, correcting postures, demonstrating breathing techniques, speaking in that calm voice that seemed to reach something deep inside each person. When they finished, Monica approached. Why aren't you teaching me? She demanded. I am teaching you, you're just not ready to learn yet. That's garbage. Is it? Grace met her eyes steadily. Monica, what I teach requires trust. Trust in me, trust in yourself, trust in the process. Do you trust me? Monica's jaw worked. No. Then you're not ready. So that's it, I just watch forever. You watch until you're ready to do more. Grace turned to leave, then paused. Trust isn't given, it's built. Show up tomorrow, keep watching. Eventually you'll understand. Monica stood alone in the yard long after everyone else had gone. 1 week after the cafeteria incident, Big Carol made her move. She cornered Rosa in the shower block during the afternoon quiet hour. No guards, no witnesses. Just Rosa wet and vulnerable and Big Carol blocking the only exit. Heard you've been spending time with the old lady, Big Carol said. She was 6 feet tall and built like a linebacker. Think that makes you special? Rosa's heart hammered. Every instinct screamed at her to look down, hunch her shoulders, make herself small, but Grace's voice echoed in her mind. Stand like you matter. Rosa straightened. Her shoulders went back. Her chin came up. She planted her feet and faced Big Carol directly. I'm not looking for trouble, Carol. Trouble found you anyway. Carol stepped closer. You owe me commissary, 2 weeks' worth. Pay up or pay different. I don't owe you anything. That's finished. Carol's eyes widened. In 8 months, Rosa had never talked back, never even met her eyes. What did you just say? I said that's finished. You've been taking from me since I got here, pushing me around, making my life miserable. It stops now. You think the old lady's going to protect you? She's not here. Nobody's here. Rosa's legs trembled. Her voice wanted to shake, but she remembered Grace's words. Feel the ground beneath you. I don't need her to protect me. I'm protecting myself. Carol laughed, but there was uncertainty in it. Rosa wasn't acting like prey anymore. She was acting like something else entirely. You've got guts, I'll give you that. Carol cracked her knuckles. But guts don't stop fists. Maybe not, but if you hit me, I'll report it. I'll tell everyone what happened, and then everyone will know that Big Carol has to beat up women half her size to feel powerful. Carol's face reddened. You wouldn't dare. Try me? The standoff stretched. Seconds felt like hours. Rosa's heart pounded so hard she was sure Carol could hear it. Then Carol did something Rosa didn't expect. She stepped back. This isn't over, Carol snarled. Yes, it is. Carol stormed out of the shower block. Rosa stayed standing until she was sure Carol was gone. Then her legs gave out and she collapsed against the tile wall, shaking uncontrollably. But she was smiling. For the first time in 8 months, she had stood up. And she had won. Rosa found Grace in the library that evening. "I did it," she said, sliding into the chair across from Grace. "Big Carol. She came after me, and I stood up to her, used what you taught me." Grace looked up from her book. "What happened?" Rosa told her everything. The confrontation, the fear, the moment she chose to stand tall instead of shrinking down. Grace listened without interrupting. When Rosa finished, she nodded slowly. "How do you feel?" "Terrified. Exhilarated. Like I could do anything." "That feeling is important. Remember it. When fear comes again, and it will remember that you faced it before and survived." She said it isn't over. It probably isn't. People like Carol don't give up easily, but you've changed the dynamic. You're not easy prey anymore. That matters. Rosa hesitated. "Grace, can I ask you something personal?" "Of course." "You said someone showed you mercy once when you didn't deserve it. What happened?" Grace closed her book. For a long moment she didn't speak. Rosa wondered if she had crossed a line. Then Grace began. "I was 25. Angry at the world. My father had tried to teach me control, but I thought control was weakness. I used my training to hurt people, got into fights, sent men to the hospital." "What changed?" "A woman named Linda Chen. No relation, just the same last name. She was a social worker. I met her after I nearly killed a man in a bar fight. She was assigned to my case." "What did she do?" "She saw me. Really saw me. Not the violence, not the anger, the person underneath. She asked me questions no one had ever asked. About my mother who left when I was 3. About my father who worked 3 jobs to support us. About why I was so afraid of being powerless that I had to make everyone else feel powerless too." Grace's voice softened. "She didn't judge me, didn't lecture me, just listened. And when I was finished talking, she said something I've never forgotten." "What?" "She said, 'Grace, you have so much strength. Imagine what you could do if you used it to protect instead of destroy.'" Rosa felt tears prick her eyes. "And that changed you?" "Not immediately. Change takes time. But she planted a seed. Over months, over years, that seed grew. I started teaching. Started helping others find the strength I had been wasting. And eventually I became someone Linda would be proud of." "Is that why you're helping us?" "Partly, but mostly I'm helping you because it's the right thing to do. Power that isn't used to lift others up is power wasted." The library door opened. Monica stood in the entrance. "We need to talk," she said to Grace. "Alone." Rosa stood quickly. "I'll go." "Stay," Grace said. Then to Monica, "Whatever you have to say, you can say in front of Rosa." Monica's jaw tightened, but she walked to the table and sat down heavily. "Something's happening," she said. "Tanya Rodriguez's old crew is regrouping. They think with me weakened, it's their chance to take over." "Tanya Rodriguez?" "She ran Block B before I took her down 3 years ago. Her people have been waiting for revenge. Now they smell blood. Your blood. Everyone's blood. If they take over, it won't just be me who suffers. They're worse than I ever was. Trust me on that." Grace studied Monica's face. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're the only one who can stop them. I'm not interested in prison politics." "Then innocent people are going to get hurt." Monica leaned forward. "Look, I know what I am. I know what I've done. But Tanya's crew, they're different. They don't just want power. They want pain. They enjoy it. What do you expect me to do?" "Teach us. All of us. Not just the women who come to your morning sessions. Teach me. Teach my crew. Make us strong enough to protect this block." Rosa sucked in a breath. Monica Reyes asking for help. She never thought she'd see it. Grace was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was measured. "You want me to train you to fight. I want you to train us to win. And what happens after you win, you go back to terrorizing people." "No." Monica's voice cracked. Just slightly, just enough to show the fracture beneath the armor. "I can't go back to what I was. Not after you showed me there's another way." "What way is that?" "I don't know yet, but I want to find out." Grace and Monica stared at each other across the table. 2 warriors from different generations, different worlds, connected by violence and something else, something that might have been the first fragile thread of understanding. "If I agree," Grace said slowly, "there will be conditions." "Name them." "First, no violence unless absolutely necessary. We protect. We defend. We don't attack." "Agreed." "Second, everyone who trains with me follows the same rules. Your crew doesn't get special treatment." "Fine." Third, and this is the most important, you lead by example. If you want your people to change you, change first. Publicly, visibly. No more intimidation, no more extortion, no more fear. Monica's face twisted. That's asking a lot. That's asking everything. Real change always does. The silence stretched. Rosa watched Monica wrestle with the decision. Watched the war play out behind her eyes. Old habits fighting new possibilities. Finally, Monica spoke. I'll try. Trying isn't enough. Do or don't. Then I'll do it. I don't know how, but I'll do it. Grace extended her hand across the table. Monica looked at it like it might bite her. A handshake is a promise, Grace said. In my culture, it means more than words. Are you ready to make that promise? Monica took a breath, then another. Then she grasped Grace's hand. I'm ready. 3 days later, Tanya Rodriguez's crew made their first move. They jumped one of Monica's women in the laundry room, 3 against 1. The woman, a young mother named Keisha, serving time for drug charges, came out with a broken arm and 2 cracked ribs. Grace found Monica pacing her cell like a caged animal. They're testing us, Monica snarled. Seeing how we respond. If we don't hit back, they'll think we're weak. If you hit back, you become what you were. Then what? Just let them hurt people. No, we respond, but we respond smart. Grace pulled Monica to a stop. Violence is easy. Strategy is hard. Which one do you think wins in the long run? Strategy doesn't fix broken bones. No, but it prevents the next broken bones. Grace's eyes were sharp. Who's leading Tanya's crew now? Woman named Diamond. Been inside for 12 years. She's patient, methodical, waited 3 years for this moment. Then we need to be more patient, more methodical. How? By building something stronger than fear, something Diamond can't break. Like what? Grace's answer surprised them both. Community. The word hung in the air. Monica looked at Grace like she'd lost her mind. Community? This is prison, not summer camp. Exactly. Everyone in here is isolated, scared, looking out for themselves because they don't believe anyone else will look out for them. That's what makes them vulnerable. That's what people like you and Diamond exploit. Monica flinched at the comparison, but didn't argue. What if we changed that? Grace continued. What if we built something Diamond couldn't break because it wasn't built on fear? What if we protected people not to control them, but because it's right? That's not how this works. It's not how it's worked. That doesn't mean it can't work. Monica shook her head. You're talking about changing everything, the whole system, the whole culture. Yes. That's impossible. Only if you think it is? Grace placed her hand on Monica's shoulder. 3 days ago, you asked me to teach you to win. This is how you win, not by being harder than Diamond, by being different. Different how? Stronger in ways she can't understand. Lead with protection instead of fear. Build loyalty instead of demanding it. Create something people want to be part of, not something they're afraid to leave. Monica was quiet. Grace could see the gears turning behind her eye. Years of survival instincts warring with something new, something fragile but growing. And if it doesn't work, Monica asked finally, then we fight. But we fight together. We fight to protect. And we fight knowing we tried something better first. Monica stared at the floor for a long time. When she looked up, her eyes were different. Still hard. Still wary. But with something else flickering beneath the surface. Hope. Okay, she said. Teach me how to build your community. 2 weeks passed. Grace's morning sessions grew. 10 women became 20. 20 became 30. They came from every block, every gang, every corner of the prison. Some wanted protection. Others wanted strength. A few just wanted to be part of something. Grace taught them all. Not fighting, not yet. First came the fundamentals. Posture, breathing, presence. The art of occupying space without apology. Monica trained harder than anyone. She was first to arrive and last to leave. She practiced the forms until her muscles ached. She studied Grace's every movement, every word, every decision. And slowly, she began to change. The other inmates noticed. Monica walked differently now. Spoke differently. Instead of demanding obedience, she asked for cooperation. Instead of threatening consequences, she offered protection freely. Some of her old crew adapted. Others left. Monica let them go without retaliation. Why Jackie asked one night. They could go to Diamond. Tell her everything. Let them, Monica said. We're not playing the same game anymore. What game are we playing? Monica thought about it. I don't know, but I think it's a better one. Rosa became Grace's informal assistant. She helped new students with their stances, repeated Grace's instructions, demonstrated techniques she had only learned weeks before. "You're a natural," Grace told her one evening. "I'm terrified," Rosa admitted. "Every day I wake up scared something will go wrong." "That's normal. Fear doesn't disappear. You just learn to act despite it." "Is that what you do, act despite fear?" Grace smiled. "I've been afraid every day since I got here. Every morning I wonder if today is the day it all falls apart." "But you don't show it." "Showing fear and feeling fear are different things. A warrior feels everything. She just doesn't let feelings make her decisions." Rosa nodded slowly. "Grace, thank you for everything. I know I say it a lot, but you don't need to thank me, Rosa. Just pass it on someday. Help someone else the way I helped you." "I will, I promise." Diamond struck again 1 month after Keisha's attack. This time it was worse. They grabbed a woman named Sarah from Block C during evening count chaos, dragged her into a supply closet, beat her badly enough to send her to the hospital. But Sarah wasn't just anyone. She was one of Grace's students. The news hit the morning session like a shockwave. Women wept. Others demanded revenge. Monica paced with murder in her eyes. Grace stood at the center of it all, face unreadable. "What do we do?" Rosa asked, her voice shaking. "They hurt one of us." Grace didn't answer immediately. She looked around at the faces watching her. Angry faces, scared faces, faces waiting for her to make everything better. "We have a choice," she finally said. "We can respond with violence. Hunt down the people responsible. Make them pay." "Yes," someone shouted. "Make them pay." "Or," Grace continued, "we can do something harder, something that takes more courage than violence." "What?" Monica demanded. "We can grow." The crowd fell silent. "Diamond expects us to retaliate. She wants us to retaliate, because the moment we do, we become just like her. We prove that all our talk about community and protection was just words. We give her exactly what she needs to destroy us." "So we do nothing," Rosa's voice broke. "Sarah is in the hospital. We do something Diamond will never expect." Grace's voice hardened. "We visit Sarah, every one of us. We show her she's not alone. We show everyone watching that when you hurt one of us, you don't weaken us, you make us stronger." "That's not justice," Monica said. "No, it's better than justice. It's unity." The argument raged for an hour. Voices rose, tempers flared. More than once Grace thought the fragile coalition would shatter, but it held. They visited Sarah that afternoon, all 30 of them rotating in shifts so the guards wouldn't get suspicious. They brought contraband snacks, handmade cards, messages of support from women Sarah had never even met. Sarah cried when she saw them. I thought you'd be mad at me for being weak, for getting caught." "You're not weak," Rosa said, holding her hand. "You're one of us, and we protect our own." News of the visit spread through the prison faster than news of the attack. By the next morning, 10 more women had asked to join Grace's sessions. Diamond had expected retaliation. She got something far more dangerous. She got inspiration. The war was far from over. Grace knew that. Monica knew it. Everyone who had stood in that hospital room knew it. Diamond would strike again, harder, more brutal. She would test their resolve until it either broke or became unbreakable. But something had changed in that supply closet. Something Diamond hadn't counted on. Grace had taught these women how to stand. Now they were learning how to stand together. 6 weeks after Sarah's attack, Diamond made her biggest move yet. She didn't come alone. 40 women flooded into the yard during morning session. They surrounded Grace's group like wolves circling sheep. Diamond stood at the front, arms crossed, smiling the smile of someone who had already won. "Well, well," Diamond said. "The Kung Fu Grandma and her little army?" Grace didn't flinch. Her students 53 now formed a tight circle around her. Rosa stood at her right, Monica at her left. "Diamond?" Grace's voice carried across the yard. "You've come a long way from Block B." "I've come to take what's mine. This prison, these people, everything Monica thought she owned." Monica stepped forward. "This isn't about ownership anymore, Diamond. Things have changed." "Changed?" Diamond laughed. "Because some old lady taught you to breathe, please. Power is power. Fear is fear. Nothing changes." "You're wrong." "Am I?" Diamond gestured to her crew. "I've got 40 soldiers. What do you have? A bunch of women who learn to stand up straight. That's not going to save you when fists start flying." Grace moved to the front of her group. Every eye in the yard locked onto her. "You want to fight?" she said. "That's why you're here. You think if you beat us badly enough, everyone will fall back in line. Fear will rule again. Smart, Grandma. But you've miscalculated. Diamond's smile flickered. How? You're thinking about this like the old way. Numbers, violence, dominance, but we're not playing that game anymore. There's only one game in prison. There was. Grace stepped closer to Diamond, close enough that the younger woman could have hit her, close enough to show she wasn't afraid. But we've created something new, something you can't break by hurting people. Everything breaks. Does it? Grace turned to address not just Diamond's crew, but the entire yard. Guards had noticed the gathering, but hadn't intervened yet. Everyone was watching. Everyone was listening. How many of you are tired? Grace asked. Her voice reached every corner. Tired of being afraid. Tired of looking over your shoulder. Tired of serving someone else's power. Murmurs rippled through Diamond's crew. A few women exchanged glances. Diamond promises you protection, Grace continued. But protection from what? From her, from the fear she creates. That's not protection. That's prison within prison. Shut up, Diamond snarled. I'm offering something different. Real protection. Real community. A place where you don't have to be afraid of each other. Where strength means lifting people up, not pushing them down. I said shut up. Diamond swung. Grace had been expecting it. She moved the way water moves around stone effortlessly, inevitably. Diamond's fist cut through empty air. Before Diamond could recover, Grace was behind her, one hand on Diamond's wrist, one on her elbow, a position that looked gentle but could break bones in an instant. I don't want to hurt you, Grace said quietly, but I will if you force me. Diamond's crew surged forward. Monica and Rosa moved to intercept, but Grace's voice stopped everyone. Don't. The single word froze the yard. This ends now, Grace said. Not with violence. Diamond, I'm going to let you go. You're going to take your people and walk away, and then we're going to have a conversation about how things work from now on. You're crazy if you think... Grace applied the slightest pressure to Diamond's elbow. The woman gasped in pain. I've broken 17 bones in my life, Grace said. All of them in people who thought they could hurt me or the people I protect. I don't enjoy it. I never have. But I'm very, very good at it. She released Diamond and stepped back. Walk away. Come back when you're ready to talk. Diamond's face was a war of emotions, rage, humiliation, and something else, something that might have been fear. This isn't over, she hissed. It can be, whenever you decide. Diamond turned and walked away. Her crew followed confused and uncertain. They had come expecting a massacre. They were leaving with questions. Grace watched them go. That was insane, Monica breathed. You could have been killed. No, Diamond wanted to win, not to kill. There's a difference. What difference? Killers don't bring audiences. They bring silence. Grace turned to face her students. What happened today was a test. Diamond wanted to see if we'd break. We didn't. That matters. She'll be back, Rosa said. With more people, more violence. Yes, but not today. Today we showed everyone watching that there's another way. Some of Diamond's own people are questioning her now. That's how change starts. Monica shook her head. I don't understand you. You had her. You could have ended this. By ending her, then what? Her crew seeks revenge. The cycle continues. Nothing changes except the names. So we just keep talking until when? Grace looked at Monica with something like sadness. Until enough people believe there's a better way. Or until talking fails and we have to fight. I'm hoping for the first. Preparing for the second. That night, Grace held an emergency session in the common room. Word had spread about the confrontation. Women who had been on the fence came to see the old lady who had faced down Diamond and won. The room was packed, standing room only. Some of you saw what happened today, Grace began. Some of you heard about it. I want to tell you what it meant. She paused, looking around at the faces watching her. Scared faces, hopeful faces, skeptical faces. For years, this prison has operated on fear. The strong prey on the weak. The weak accept their place or suffer. Everyone knows the rules because everyone's afraid to break them. Nods around the room. But today, something different happened. We stood together. We didn't attack. We didn't run. We just stood, and Diamond didn't know what to do with that. She'll figure it out, someone called from the back. She's not stupid. No, she's not, which is why what comes next matters. Grace's voice hardened. I've been teaching you posture, breathing, presence, the foundation of strength. But some of you have been asking when I'll teach you to fight." The room went very quiet. "The answer is now." Rosa's eyes widened. Monica straightened. Around the room, women leaned forward. "Not because I want violence, but because Diamond won't stop. She can't stop. Her power depends on being the most dangerous person in any room. If we're going to protect ourselves and each other, we need to be ready." "Ready for what?" Jackie Torres asked. She had been one of Monica's crew, had been beaten by Grace in the cafeteria. Now she was one of her most dedicated students. "Ready for the worst. I'm going to teach you how to defend yourselves, how to protect others, how to end a fight quickly if one starts." Grace paused. "But I'm also going to teach you something more important." "What?" "When not to fight, when to walk away, when to de-escalate, because every fight you avoid is a fight you win." The training began that night. Grace started with the basics, blocking positioning, using an attacker's momentum against them. The same techniques she had taught beginners for 40 years. But these weren't regular beginners. These were women who had survived prison, who had faced violence their whole lives. They learned fast. Rosa showed natural talent. Her reflexes were quick, her movements precise. Within a week, she was helping teach newer students. Monica was different. She already knew how to fight. 7 years in prison had taught her that. What she needed to learn was control. "You're too aggressive," Grace told her during a practice session. "You're attacking when you should be defending, creating openings for counterattacks." In real fights, you have to attack. In real fights, the person who controls the engagement wins. Aggression is a tool, not a strategy. Monica struggled with this. Years of survival instincts screamed at her to hit first, hit hard, keep hitting until the threat was neutralized. Grace understood. She had been the same way once. "My father used to blindfold me during training," Grace said one evening, "made me fight without sight." "Why?" "To teach me that fighting isn't about what you see, it's about what you feel, the energy of an attack, the intention behind a movement. When you can sense those things, you don't need to be aggressive, you just respond." "That sounds like mystical garbage." Grace smiled. "Try it." She tied a cloth around Monica's eyes and circled her slowly. "I'm going to attack. Don't think. Just feel." Monica stood rigid, blind, waiting. Grace moved not fast, not slow. Just moved. Monica's arm came up, blocking a strike she couldn't see. "Again," Grace said. "Another attack. Another block." "How Monica demanded, pulling off the blindfold. "How did I do that? Your body knows things your mind doesn't. 40,000 years of human evolution learning to sense danger. You just have to trust it." Monica stared at her hands like they belonged to someone else. I've always been the one attacking. I never learned to feel." "You can learn now." 2 weeks later, Diamond made her move. Not in the yard, not in public. She went after Rosa, cornered her in the chapel during evening prayer. Rosa had gone alone, a mistake she would never make again. Diamond had brought 3 of her best fighters. They blocked the door, surrounded. Rosa closed in with practiced efficiency. "The old lady's favorite student," Diamond said. "Let's see what she taught you." Rosa's heart slammed against her ribs. 4 against 1. No help coming. Everything Grace had taught her compressed into a single crystalline moment. "I don't want to fight you," Rosa said. Her voice was steady, steadier than she felt. "That's too bad." The first woman attacked. Rosa moved. Not away into. She stepped toward the attack inside the woman's reach and drove her palm into the solar plexus exactly the way Grace had shown her. The woman doubled over, gasping. The second attacker came from the left. Rosa pivoted, grabbed the woman's arm, redirected her momentum into the wall. The impact was loud. The woman slid to the floor. 2 down in 3 seconds. Diamond's eyes widened. "What the?" The third fighter hesitated. That hesitation cost her. Rosa closed the distance, delivered 2 quick strikes. A elbow to the ribs, palm to the chin, and watched the woman crumple. 3 down. Diamond and Rosa faced each other across the chapel floor. "You're better than I expected," Diamond said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes weren't. "The old lady taught you well." "She taught me more than fighting." "Oh yeah, what else?" "When to walk away." Rosa stepped backward toward the door. "I'm leaving now. You can try to stop me, but you've seen what happens when you try. If you walk out that door, this war gets worse. If I stay, this war ends the same way, with violence that solves nothing." Rosa kept moving. "Grace was right about you. You don't want peace. You want power. And power means nothing if no one fears you." "Everyone fears me." I don't, not anymore. Rosa reached the door. Her hand found the handle. Run to your grandmother, Diamond called after her. Tell her I'm coming for her next. Tell her yourself, you know where to find her. Rosa walked out. Her legs shook all the way back to the block. Her hands trembled. Her stomach churned with adrenaline and terror. But she had done it. 3 against 1, and she had walked away. Grace found Rosa in her cell 20 minutes later. The young woman was sitting on her bunk staring at her hands. I heard what happened, Grace said quietly. Are you all right? I hurt them, 3 women. I hurt them badly. You defended yourself. I know, but... Rosa looked up. Her eyes were wet. Is this who I am now? Someone who hurts people. Grace sat beside her. You're someone who can defend herself. There's a difference. Is there? I felt powerful when I hit them, when they went down. For a moment, I understood why Monica was the way she was, why Diamond is the way she is. Power feels good. It does. That's the danger. Shh. How do you stop once you know what it feels like? Grace was quiet for a long moment. You remember why you learned in the first place, not for power, for protection. You remember that every person you hurt is someone's daughter, someone's mother, someone who made choices that led them to that moment. Those women chose to attack me. Yes, and you chose to defend yourself. Both choices have consequences. The question is what you do with those consequences. Rosa wiped her eyes. What do I do? Tomorrow you keep training. You get stronger. You help others get stronger. And you hope you never have to use what you've learned again. Grace paused. But if you do have to use it, you use it with control, with compassion, and you never ever enjoy it. Grace? Did you ever enjoy it? The old woman didn't answer for a long time. Once, she finally said, a long time ago, before I understood what I was becoming, I hurt a man badly enough to put him in a wheelchair, and for a moment, just a moment, I felt victorious. What happened? I saw his face, his fear, his pain, and I realized I had become everything my father taught me not to be. Grace's voice dropped. That man's name was David Park. He was 23 years old. He'd been drinking, started a fight through the first punch. None of that mattered. I took his ability to walk because I could, because I wanted to. What did you do? I visited him in the hospital, apologized. He told me to go to hell. Grace smiled sadly. He was right to. Some things can't be fixed with apologies. I paid for his medical bills, his rehabilitation. It took everything I had saved, and it still wasn't enough. Did you ever see him again? Every year, on the anniversary, I go to his house, knock on his door. Every year he tells me to leave, and every year I go back. Why? Because some debts can't be repaid, only acknowledged. That's what my father taught me. The moment you forget the weight of what you can do is the moment you become dangerous. Rosa nodded slowly. I understand. Good. Now rest. Tomorrow we have work to do. Monica was waiting outside Rosa's cell when Grace emerged. Is she okay? She will be. She took down 3 of Diamond's best, by herself. Monica's voice held something like awe. You really taught her that? I taught her to defend herself. She did the rest. Grace, we need to talk about what happens next. What happens next is we keep building, keep training, keep showing people there's another way. That's not enough. Monica stepped closer. Diamond's not going to stop. She's going to escalate. After tonight, she has to. Her reputation depends on it. I know. So what do we do? Grace looked at Monica for a long moment. What do you think we should do? I think... Monica struggled with the words. I think we need to end this. Not with half measures, not with hope. We need to face Diamond directly and show everyone her people, our people, the whole prison that we're not going to be pushed around. You're talking about a confrontation. I'm talking about a reckoning. Grace considered this. And if it comes to violence, then it comes to violence, but controlled violence, defensive violence, the kind you've been teaching us. You've changed, Monica. You changed me. No, you changed yourself. I just showed you it was possible. Monica took a breath. Grace, I need to tell you something about why I was the way I was before. You don't owe me explanations. I want you to understand. Monica's voice cracked. My mother was an addict. My father was gone before I was born. I grew up in foster homes. 14 different placements before I aged out. Every single one of them, someone tried to hurt me, control me, use me. Grace listened without interrupting. By the time I was 16, I had learned one thing. If you're not the predator, you're the prey. No middle ground, no exceptions. So I became the predator. I hurt people before they could hurt me. I controlled people before they could control me. And prison? Prison was just more of the same. Bigger stakes, same rules. Monica wiped her eyes angrily. Or so I thought, until you showed me I was wrong. You weren't wrong about survival. You were wrong about what survival means. What does it mean? How did it finding something worth surviving for, and protecting it with everything you have? Monica nodded slowly. I think I'm starting to understand that. The next morning, Grace called a meeting. Everyone came. 57 women now crowded into the common room. More waited in the hallway, listening through open doors. Something is coming, Grace said. You all know it. Diamond isn't going to stop. She can't stop. Her power depends on proving she's the strongest person in this prison. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. We have a choice. We can wait for her to strike again. Let her pick the time, the place, the target, or we can take control. How? Jackie asked. We challenge her, publicly, in front of everyone, not to fight to talk, to offer her a way out that doesn't involve more violence. She won't take it, someone called out. Maybe not, but we offer it anyway, because the offer matters as much as the answer. Everyone watching will see that we tried for peace, that we gave her every chance. And if she refuses, Grace's eyes hardened, then we do what we have to do together. The challenge was issued that afternoon. Rosa delivered it personally, walking into Diamond's territory with her head high and her fear locked away where no one could see it. Grace Whitfield wants to meet, Rosa told Diamond. Tomorrow, noon, the yard. No weapons, no ambushes, just talking. Diamond laughed. She wants to talk after everything. She's offering you a way out. I don't need a way out. I'm winning. Are you... Rosa held Diamond's gaze. Your crew attacked me last night. 3 against 1. I walked away. They didn't... How long before your people start wondering if they're on the right side? Diamond's smile faded. Careful, girl. I'm not scared of you anymore. That's what Grace taught me. Fear is a choice, and I'm choosing not to make it. Rosa turned and walked away. She felt Diamond's glare burning into her back the entire time, but she didn't look back. That night, Grace couldn't sleep. She lay on her bunk staring at the ceiling, thinking about everything that had led to this moment. Her father's teachings, her own failures, the years of trying to make up for the damage she had done, and now this. A prison, a gang war, a community of women who looked to her for guidance. She was 73 years old. She should have been home reading books, tending a garden. Instead, she was preparing for a confrontation that could turn violent at any moment. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. Grace, the universe puts us where we're needed, not where we're comfortable. He had been right. He was always right. Tomorrow she would face Diamond. She would offer peace one more time. And if peace was rejected, she would do what she had always done. Protect the people who needed protecting, whatever the cost. The morning came too fast. Grace rose before dawn and moved through her forms in the darkness. Slow, controlled. Each movement a meditation, a prayer, a preparation. Monica found her in the yard just after sunrise. Couldn't sleep either. No. They stood together watching the light spread across the prison walls. Grace, if something happens today, nothing's going to happen. But if it does, I want you to know that you changed my life. Whatever happens that's real, that matters. Grace looked at Monica, really looked at her. She saw the scared girl Monica had been, the hardened criminal she had become, and the person she was becoming now. You changed your own life, Grace said. I just opened the door. Same thing. No, not the same at all. The yard filled slowly as noon approached. Word had spread. Everyone knew what was happening. Guards positioned themselves around the perimeter, ready to intervene, but curious about what would unfold. Warden Hayes watched from her office window. Grace stood in the center of the yard, surrounded by her people. 57 women arranged in a loose formation. Not aggressive, not defensive, just present. At exactly noon, Diamond arrived. She brought 60 fighters. They fanned out across the yard, outnumbering Grace's group for the first time. Diamond walked forward until she stood 20 feet from Grace. You wanted to talk, Diamond said. So talk. I'm offering you peace. You're offering me surrender. No, partnership, power sharing, an end to the fighting. Diamond laughed. Why would I share power when I can take it all? Because taking it all means destroying everything, including yourself. Grace stepped forward. Look around you, Diamond. Look at your people. How many of them are here because they believe in you, and how many are here because they're afraid of you? Diamond's jaw tightened. Fear is a weak foundation. I learned that lesson the hard way. So did Monica. You can learn it too before it's too late. You think I'm afraid of you, old woman. I think you're afraid of what I represent. A different way, a better way. Because if I'm right, then everything you've built is wrong. You're not right. You're a fool who doesn't understand how the world works. I understand exactly how the world works. I just refuse to accept it. Diamond's hand moved toward her waistband. Grace's eyes tracked the movement. Don't, Grace said quietly. Whatever you're reaching for, don't. You think you can stop me. I think if you pull a weapon, this ends badly for everyone. Your people, my people, you, me, everyone. Maybe I don't care. Maybe, but look at your people's faces. They care. They didn't come here to die. They came here because they thought you'd protect them. Are you protecting them right now, or are you about to get them hurt? Diamond's hand stopped. For a long moment, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then Diamond's hand fell back to her side. This isn't over, she said. It can be, right now, today. No, you don't get to win by talking. That's not how this works. Then teach me how it works. Diamond stared at her. What? You keep saying I don't understand, so teach me. Show me what I'm missing. Because from where I'm standing, I see two groups of women who are more alike than different, who have all been hurt, who have all made mistakes, who all deserve a chance at something better. Diamond's face twisted with confusion. This wasn't how confrontations went. There were supposed to be threats, violence, victory, or defeat, not this. You're insane, Diamond said. Maybe, but I'm also offering you something no one else will, a way out that doesn't end with you dead or broken, a place in something bigger than either of us. I don't need your place. Everyone needs a place, Diamond. The only question is whether you choose it or have it chosen for you. The silence stretched. Diamond turned and walked away. Her crew followed confused, uncertain. Some of them looked back at Grace with expressions she couldn't quite read. The confrontation was over. Nothing had been resolved. Everything had changed. Monica reached Grace's side first. That was either brilliant or insane. Maybe both. She didn't take the deal. No, but she didn't attack either. That means something. What? Grace watched Diamond's retreating figure. It means she's thinking. And as long as she's thinking, we still have a chance. Rosa joined them breathless with residual fear. I thought she was going to kill you when she reached for her waistband. She was considering it. What stopped her? Grace turned to face her students. All 57 of them, plus the guards watching, plus the inmates on both sides who had seen everything. We did. All of us. Standing together, not attacking, not running, just being present. She raised her voice so everyone could hear. What happened today wasn't a victory. It wasn't a defeat. It was a demonstration that there's another way to live, another way to be strong, another way to face your enemies. Her eyes found Monica, then Rosa, then each of her students in turn. Diamond will be back. This war isn't over, but today we showed everyone watching that we're not afraid, and that, my friends, is how revolutions begin. The crowd parted as Grace walked back toward the cell block. Behind her, whispers spread like wildfire. Something had shifted in the prison, something that could never be undone. 3 days passed without incident. The silence was worse than violence. Grace knew it. Monica knew it. Everyone who had been in that yard knew it. Diamond was planning something. She's too quiet, Monica said during their evening meeting. This isn't like her. After what happened, she should have retaliated immediately. Maybe she's reconsidering, Rosa offered. Diamond doesn't reconsider. She calculates. Monica paced the small cell. She's waiting for something, building towards something. Grace listened without speaking. Her mind worked through possibilities, scenarios, outcomes. 40 years of training had taught her to think 3 moves ahead. We need information, she finally said. Someone inside Diamond's crew who can tell us what she's planning. That's impossible. Her people are loyal. No one is completely loyal. Not when they're following out of fear. Grace looked at Monica. You used to run crews. You know how it works. There's always someone on the edge. Someone questioning, someone looking for a way out. Monica's eyes narrowed. You want me to turn one of Diamond's people? I want you to offer them an alternative. The same alternative I offered you. And if they report back to Diamond, then we learn something about Diamond's crew. Either way, we gain information. Monica was quiet for a long moment. There's someone, a woman named Tasha. She was in my crew before Diamond recruited her. We have history. What kind of history? I saved her life once. Fight in the showers 3 years ago. Someone tried to cut her throat. I stopped it. She owes you. Maybe, or maybe she's forgotten. Prison has a way of erasing debts. There's only one way to find out. Monica found Tasha in the library the next afternoon. The woman was alone reading a romance novel with a torn cover. She looked up when Monica approached, and fear flashed across her face before she could hide it. Relax, Monica said. I'm not here to cause trouble. Then why are you here? To talk, like old times. Tasha's hands tightened on her book. We don't have old times anymore. I'm with Diamond now. I know. I'm not asking you to change that. Then what do you want? Monica sat across from her, close enough to talk quietly, far enough to not seem threatening. I want to know how you're doing, whether you're okay. Tasha blinked. Whatever she had expected, it wasn't this. Why do you care? Because I saved your life once, because you were part of my crew, because despite everything that's happened, I don't want to see you get hurt. Is that a threat? No, it's a warning. Monica leaned forward. Something's coming, Tasha. You know it. I know it. Diamond's planning something big, and when it happens, people are going to get hurt, maybe killed. Tasha's face went pale. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. You're smart. That's why you've survived this long. You see things. You notice patterns. And I'm betting you've noticed that Diamond's been acting different lately. Silence. I'm not asking you to betray her, Monica continued. I'm asking you to think about what happens after. When the fighting's over, when people are bleeding, is that what you want? More violence, more fear. What choice do I have? You always have a choice. Grace taught me that. Tasha's eyes flickered at the mention of Grace's name. The Kung Fu Grandma, she's the reason everything's falling apart. No, she's the reason everything's changing. There's a difference. What's the difference? The difference is that for the first time since I got here, there's hope. Real hope. Not just surviving until release. Actually building something better. Tasha was quiet. Her fingers traced the cover of her book. Diamond's planning something, she finally said. I don't know the details, but I know it's happening soon, and I know it involves Grace. Monica felt her stomach drop. What kind of something? I told you I don't know details, but Diamond's been meeting with people, making deals, calling in favors. Tasha looked around nervously. She wants to end this, permanently. Kill Grace. I don't know, maybe, or worse. What's worse than killing? Tasha's voice dropped to a whisper. Breaking. Diamond doesn't just want to win. She wants to prove that everything Grace built was a lie. That hope is weakness. That fear is the only thing that matters. Monica's blood ran cold. When? I don't know. Soon. That's all I know, Monica. That's all I can tell you. Monica reached out and touched Tasha's hand. Thank you, and Tasha. When this is over, when the dust settles, there's a place for you, if you want it. Tasha pulled her hand back. I can't. Diamond would kill me. She might kill you anyway. At least with us, you'd have people watching your back. Monica left Tasha alone in the library. She found Grace in the yard teaching the afternoon session. 60 women now. The numbers kept growing. We need to talk, Monica said quietly. Now. They found a corner away from the others. Diamond's planning something, Monica said. Something big, soon, and it's aimed at you. Grace listened as Monica relayed everything Tasha had told her. She wants to break me, Grace said when Monica finished. Not kill me. Break me. What does that mean? It means she understands something I'd hoped she wouldn't. Grace's voice was heavy. Killing me would make me a martyr. Everyone would remember what I stood for, what we built, but breaking me, proving I'm weak, that would destroy everything. How do you break someone like you? Grace was silent for a long moment. You find what they love, and you hurt it. Monica's eyes widened. Rosa. Or any of my students, or all of them. Grace turned to watch the women practicing in the yard. Diamond knows she can't beat me in a fair fight, so she won't fight fair. She'll go after the people I care about. What do? We protect them, starting now. That night, Grace called an emergency meeting. She told them everything, the threat, the danger, what Diamond was planning. "Some of you might want to leave," she said. "I wouldn't blame you. This is going to get dangerous." Nobody moved. "I'm serious. If you stay, you're putting yourself at risk. Diamond isn't going to play by any rules. She's going to try to hurt you to get to me." Still, nobody moved. Rosa stepped forward. "Grace, you saved my life. Not literally, but in every way that matters. Before you, I was just surviving. Now I'm living. I'm not leaving." Monica stepped up beside her. "You changed everything, gave me a chance I didn't deserve. I'm not leaving either." One by one, the others stepped forward. Jackie, Destiny, Keisha, women whose names Grace had learned over months of training. Women who had become her family. Grace felt tears prick her eyes. She blinked them back. "Then we prepare, together, and we face whatever comes. Together." 2 days later, Diamond struck. Not at Grace, not at Rosa, at someone no one expected. She took Jackie Torres's daughter. The girl was 7 years old, living with her grandmother outside Houston. Diamond had connections on the outside, connections who grabbed the child on her way home from school. Jackie found out during visitation hours. Her mother arrived alone, face streaked with tears, barely able to speak. "They took her. They took my baby." Jackie's scream echoed through the visitation room. Guards rushed in. Monica and Rosa held her back from attacking the nearest person. Grace arrived minutes later. "What happened?" she demanded. Monica told her. Grace felt something cold settle in her chest. This was beyond prison politics, beyond gang warfare. This was terrorism, pure and simple. "Where's Diamond?" Grace asked. "Her cell, acting like nothing happened." Grace started walking. "Grace, wait." Monica grabbed her arm. "If you go after her now, you're playing her game." "She took a child, a 7-year-old girl." "I know, but charging in without a plan just gives her what she wants." Grace stopped. Her hands were shaking. 40 years of control, and she could feel it slipping. Then what do? We think, we plan, and we make sure that when we move, we end this, permanently. They took Jackie to her cell. The woman was catatonic with fear and rage, unable to speak, barely able to breathe. "Listen to me," Grace said, kneeling beside her. "We're going to get your daughter back. Do you hear me? We're going to get her back." "How?" Jackie's voice was a broken whisper. "How? She has her. She has my baby. Diamond did this to get to me, to force me to do something rash, but we're not going to give her that." "Then what? We just let my daughter die." "No, we get her back, the right way." "What's the right way?" Grace turned to Monica. "Tasha, can you reach her again?" "Maybe. Why?" "Because Diamond's people are going to be watching her child. They have to be. And if Tasha knows anything about where they're keeping her..." Monica nodded. "I'll find her." 2 hours later, Monica returned with information. "The girl is being held at a house in Galveston. Tasha doesn't know the exact address, but she knows who's guarding her. A man named Victor, Diamond's cousin." "How do we get her out?" "We don't. We're in prison, Grace. There's nothing we can do from in here." "Then we need help from outside." Everyone looked at her. Grace pulled out a piece of paper she had been saving for emergencies, a phone number, written in faded ink. "Who's that?" Rosa asked. "Someone I hoped I'd never have to call." Grace looked at the number for a long moment. "My daughter." The next morning, Grace used her phone privileges. Emily Whitfield answered on the third ring. "Mom?" Her voice was confused, worried. "You never call. What's wrong?" "I need your help. It's life or death." Silence, then, "Tell me." Grace explained everything. Diamond, the child, the location. Emily listened without interrupting. "Mom, this is insane. I should call the police." "If you call the police, they'll kill the girl. Diamond's people will panic. They'll destroy the evidence." "Then what am I supposed to do?" "You remember Michael from the studio? Your student, the one who became a cop. He retired 5 years ago. Private security now. He owes me. Call him. Tell him what's happening. Tell him I'm calling in every favor he owes me." "Mom, this is crazy." "I know, but it's the only way. That little girl is going to die if we don't do something." Emily was quiet for a long moment. "Okay, I'll call Michael. I'll do what I can." "Thank you, Emily." "Mom, be careful, please." "I'll try." Grace hung up and closed her eyes. Everything depended on what happened next. She found Diamond in the cafeteria during lunch. The gang leader was surrounded by her crew, eating like nothing had happened, like she hadn't just kidnapped a child. Grace walked directly to her table. "We need to talk." Diamond looked up smiling. The great Grace Whitfield, finally coming to not negotiate, talk. About what? About what you've done, and what it's going to cost you. Diamond laughed. "Cost me? I think you're confused about who has the power here. You kidnapped a child, a 7-year-old girl. You think that makes you powerful? I think it makes me smart. You were building your little army, your little revolution, and now you're going to watch it all fall apart. Because when push comes to shove, people will always choose their families over their principles." Grace leaned close enough that only Diamond could hear her. "I'm going to tell you something, Diamond. Something you need to understand very clearly. In 40 years of martial arts, I've never killed anyone. I've come close. I've wanted to, but I've always pulled back." "Is that supposed to scare me?" "It should, because if anything happens to that little girl, I'm going to stop pulling back, and everything I've spent 40 years learning how to do, I'm going to do to you." Diamond's smile flickered. "Just for a second. You're bluffing." "Look at my eyes. Do I look like I'm bluffing?" Diamond looked, and for the first time, Grace saw real fear cross her face. "The girl is insurance," Diamond said carefully. "Nothing happens to her as long as you cooperate." "Cooperate how?" "Publicly admit that your way doesn't work. Tell everyone you were wrong. That peace is weakness. That fear is the only thing that keeps order. And if I do that, the girl goes home, safe, unharmed. And if I don't," Diamond's smile returned, but it was colder now. "Then you find out how far I'm willing to go." Grace straightened. "You have until tomorrow morning, then I give you my answer." She walked away. Monica was waiting outside the cafeteria. "Well?" "She wants me to publicly surrender, admit I was wrong, destroy everything we've built." "What are you going to do, Ike?" "Buy time. Emily is working on getting the girl out. If we can rescue her before morning, Diamond loses her leverage. And if we can't..." Grace didn't answer. That night nobody slept. Grace spent the hours pacing her cell waiting for word from Emily. Every minute felt like an hour. Every hour felt like a year. At 3 a.m. a guard appeared at her cell door. "Chen, you have an emergency call." Grace followed him to the phone room, heart pounding. "Emily?" "We got her." Emily's voice was shaking with exhaustion and relief. "We got her, Mom. She's safe." Grace sagged against the wall. "Where is she?" "At a hospital, being checked out. Some bruises, but she's okay. She's asking for her mother. And the people who took her, Michael handled it. Don't ask for details. You don't want to know." "Thank you, Emily. Thank you." "Mom, this isn't over. The police are going to ask questions. Michael can only keep them quiet for so long." "It doesn't matter. The girl is safe. That's all that matters." Grace hung up and found Officer Williams waiting outside. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Better than okay." She walked back to her cell with something she hadn't felt in days. Hope. Morning came. Grace found Diamond in the yard surrounded by her crew. The gang leader was smiling, confident, ready to receive her surrender. "I have your answer," Grace said. "I'm listening." "No." Diamond's smile faltered. No, I won't surrender. I won't tell people I was wrong. I won't destroy what we've built." "Then the girl is safe, at a hospital in Houston, being reunited with her grandmother as we speak." Diamond's face went white. "That's impossible." "Nothing's impossible. You should have learned that by now." Diamond's crew shifted uneasily. They had expected victory. They were getting defeat. "You're lying." "Call your people. Have them check the house. The girl is gone. Your leverage is gone. And now you have a choice." "What choice?" Grace stepped closer. "You can keep fighting. You can try to hurt more people, kidnap more children, spread more fear, and eventually you'll slip. You'll make a mistake. And when you do, I'll be there. Or you can walk away, right now, today, take your people and leave my students alone. No more attacks, no more kidnappings, no more war." "Why would I do that?" "Because you've lost Diamond. You just don't know it yet." Grace gestured to the yard where her students had gathered. 70 women now, maybe more. "Look at them. Look at what we've built. You can't break this by hurting people. Every attack just makes us stronger." Diamond stared at her with pure hatred. "This isn't over." "Yes, it is, unless you want to make it worse." "How could it be worse?" Grace smiled. It was the saddest smile Diamond had ever seen. Because right now, you're just a gang leader who lost a power struggle. But if you keep coming after my people, you become something else. An enemy. And I've spent 40 years learning how to deal with enemies. That's a threat. That's a promise. Walk away, Diamond, before it's too late. The standoff stretched for an eternity. Then Diamond did something nobody expected. She turned and walked away. Her crew followed confused, uncertain. Some of them looked back at Grace with expressions she couldn't quite read, but they left. Monica reached Grace's side first. I can't believe that worked. It almost didn't. What happens now? Grace watched Diamond's retreating figure. Now we wait. Either she accepts defeat and moves on, or she comes back harder than ever. Either way, we'll be ready. You really think she'll walk away? No, but I hope I'm wrong. Jackie Torres pushed through the crowd, tears streaming down her face. My daughter! You saved my daughter! Grace embraced her. She's safe. That's all that matters. I don't know how to thank you. Thank me by staying strong, by taking care of yourself so you can take care of her when you get out. Jackie nodded, unable to speak. Rosa appeared beside them. What now? Now we keep building, keep training, keep showing people there's another way. And Diamond? Grace looked toward the block where Diamond had disappeared. Diamond made her choice. Now she has to live with it. We all do. That evening, Warden Hayes called Grace to her office. I heard what happened, Toxie, the warden said. The kidnapping, the rescue, all of it. Grace said nothing. I also heard about what happened in the yard this morning. Diamond backing down, her crew falling apart. Word travels fast. In prison, word is the only currency that matters. Hayes leaned back in her chair. You've changed things here, Mrs. Whitfield. I've been running this facility for 12 years. I've never seen anything like what you've built. I haven't built anything. The women did it themselves. With your guidance, your teaching. Hayes paused. I have a proposal. What kind of proposal? The prison has a rehabilitation program. Technically, it's been underfunded and ignored for years. Nobody believed in it. But what you've been doing informally is exactly what the program was supposed to do. You want to make it official? I want to give you resources, a proper space to teach, recognition from the administration, maybe even early release consideration for participants who show genuine progress. Grace studied the warden's face. Why? Because what you're doing works. Violence is down, incidents are down, women who were problems for years are becoming model inmates. I'd be a fool not to support that. And if Diamond retaliates, then we deal with it, together. Hayes extended her hand. What do you say, Mrs. Whitfield, ready to make this official? Grace looked at the hand. She thought about her father, about 40 years of teaching, about all the students who had passed through her doors. She had never imagined her final teaching would happen here, in a prison, surrounded by women society had given up on. But maybe that was exactly where she was supposed to be. I have conditions, Grace said. Name them. First, the program is voluntary, nobody forced, nobody pressured. Agreed? Second, Monica Reyes becomes my assistant, officially. Hayes raised an eyebrow. The woman who attacked you. The woman who changed. If she can change, anyone can. Agreed. What else? Third, any woman who graduates the program gets a letter from the warden, recommending them for early release consideration. Not a guarantee, but a recommendation. Hayes considered this. That's asking a lot. These women are giving a lot. They deserve recognition. The warden was silent for a long moment, then she nodded. Agreed. Welcome to the official rehabilitation program, Mrs. Whitfield. Grace shook her hand. Call me Grace. She walked out of the warden's office into the evening light. Monica and Rosa were waiting. Well, Monica asked. It's official. We have a program, resources, support from the administration. Rosa let out a breath. That's amazing. It's a start. Grace looked at both of them. We still have a long way to go. Diamond is still out there. Other threats will emerge. Nothing is solved. But something's changed, Monica said. Yes, something's changed. Grace looked across the yard where women were gathering for the evening session. 70 faces, maybe more tomorrow. Each one of them carrying their own pain, their own fear, their own hope. She had come to this prison expecting to serve her time quietly and disappear. Instead, she had found something she thought she'd lost forever. Purpose. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. Kung Fu means skill achieved through hard work. It is not about fighting, it is about becoming. Grace had spent 40 years becoming. Now it was time to help others do the same. She walked toward her students ready to teach, ready to learn, ready for whatever came next. The storm wasn't over, but for the first time, Grace believed they might survive it. 6 months had passed since the warden made the program official. Grace stood in the center of the recreation hall, watching 87 women move through the forms she had taught them. Their movements were synchronized, powerful, beautiful. 6 months ago, most of them couldn't stand up straight. Now they moved like warriors. Monica worked the left side of the room, correcting stances, adjusting positions. Rosa handled the right. Both of them had become teachers in their own right, passing on what Grace had given them. "Breathe," Grace called out. "Feel the ground beneath you. You are rooted. You are strong. Nothing can move you unless you choose to be moved." The women breathed together. 87 souls united in purpose. After the session, Monica found Grace near the water fountain. "You're quiet today, Monica said. "Something wrong." "Not wrong, just thinking." "About what?" Grace looked at her hands. The same hands that had taught thousands of students over 4 decades. The same hands that had built this community from nothing. "I got word from the parole board this morning." Monica's eyes widened. "And they're releasing me. Next month. Good behavior. Participation in rehabilitation programs." Grace smiled sadly. "Irony, isn't it? I created the program and now it's setting me free." Monica was quiet for a long moment. "That's good news. Why don't you look happy?" "Because leaving means abandoning what we've built. What happens to all of you when I'm gone?" "We keep going. That's what you taught us." "I know, but it's hard, letting go." Monica reached out and took Grace's hand. "You're not abandoning us. You're graduating. Same thing you've been preparing us to do." Grace squeezed her hand. "When did you become so wise?" "I had a good teacher." That evening, Grace called a meeting. The recreation hall was packed. Women sat on the floor, stood against the walls, crowded the doorway. Word had spread that something important was happening. "I have an announcement," Grace said. "Next month, I'm being released." Silence. Then a wave of murmurs swept through the room. "What does that mean for us?" someone called out. "It means the program continues, but without me leading it." Rosa stepped forward. "Grace, you can't leave. You started this. You built this." "No, we built this, together, and together you'll keep it going." Grace looked around the room, meeting eyes with women who had become her family. "I've chosen 2 people to lead in my absence, Monica Reyes and Rosa Martinez." More murmurs, some surprised, some concerned. "Monica," Jackie Torres spoke up. "She was one of them, before." "She was," Grace agreed, "and now she's one of us. That's the whole point. People can change. That's what this program proves. Monica changed. Rosa changed. All of you have changed. And you'll keep changing long after I'm gone." Monica stepped to Grace's side. "I know some of you don't trust me. I don't blame you. I did terrible things. I hurt people. I was everything Grace taught us not to be." She paused, her voice catching. "But Grace saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself. She gave me a chance when I didn't deserve one. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of that chance." Rosa joined them. "We're not Grace. We can't replace her. But we can carry on what she started. We can keep building, keep growing, keep showing people that there's another way." Grace felt tears prick her eyes. "This is what I've been working toward. Not just teaching you to stand, teaching you to lead, teaching you to pass on what I've given you to others who need it." "What about Diamond?" someone asked. The question hung in the air. Diamond had been quiet for months. Too quiet. Everyone knew it was only a matter of time before she made another move. "Diamond is still a threat," Grace acknowledged. "But she's weakened. Her crew is smaller, her influence is fading, and you're stronger than you were. All of you. What if she comes back after you're gone? Then you face her together. The way I taught you." Grace's voice hardened. Diamond's power came from isolation, from dividing people, from making everyone feel alone and afraid. You're not alone anymore. You have each other. That's a power Diamond can never take away. The meeting ended with embraces, tears, promises to stay strong. Grace returned to her cell and sat on her bunk exhausted. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. "The measure of a teacher is not what they accomplish, but what their students accomplish after they're gone." She hoped she had measured up. 2 weeks before Grace's release, Diamond made her move. It happened during the morning session. Grace was demonstrating a blocking technique when the door burst open. Diamond walked in, flanked by 20 women. "Sorry to interrupt," Diamond said, "but we need to have a conversation." Grace straightened. Her students formed a protective circle around her. "You're not welcome here, Diamond." "I'm not asking for permission." Diamond stepped closer. "Word is you're leaving soon, going back to your life, forgetting all about us." "I'm not forgetting anyone." "No, then why are you abandoning your little army, leaving them to fend for themselves?" "I'm not abandoning them. I'm trusting them." Diamond laughed. "Trust. That's adorable. You really think they can survive without you? The moment you walk out that door, everything falls apart, and I'll be here to pick up the pieces." "You're wrong." "Am I?" Diamond looked around at Grace's students. "Look at them, scared, uncertain. They know what's coming. They know that without you, they're nothing." "We're not nothing." Rosa stepped forward, her voice steady. "We're everything Grace taught us to be, and we're not afraid of you." "Little Rosa, the one who beat 3 of my people in the chapel? You think that makes you special?" "I think it makes me ready." Diamond's eyes narrowed. "Ready for what?" "Ready for whatever you bring. Because here's what you don't understand, Diamond. Grace didn't teach us to follow her. She taught us to stand on our own. With or without her, we're still strong." Monica moved to Rosa's side. 6 months ago, I was just like you. Thought power was all that mattered. Thought fear was the only way to survive. Grace showed me I was wrong. She can show you too." Diamond stared at Monica with contempt. "You've gone soft." "No, I've gotten strong, real strength. The kind that doesn't need to hurt people to prove itself." The tension in the room was suffocating. Everyone waited to see what Diamond would do. Grace stepped forward. "You came here for a reason," she said. "What is it? What do you really want?" Diamond's mask slipped just for a second, just long enough for Grace to see the pain underneath. "I want it to stop." The words surprised everyone, including Diamond herself. "Stop what?" Grace asked softly. "All of it. The fighting, the fear, the constant looking over my shoulder." Diamond's voice cracked. "I'm tired. I've been doing this for 12 years. 12 years of watching my back. 12 years of never sleeping through the night. 12 years of pretending I'm not afraid." Grace took another step closer. "Then stop." "I can't? You think I haven't tried?" "The moment I show weakness, someone takes me down. That's how it works. That's how it's always worked. It doesn't have to be that way. Easy for you to say. You're leaving. You get to walk away. You can walk away too." Diamond laughed bitterly. "Where I've got 8 more years on my sentence. 8 years of this. 8 years of fighting just to survive. Or 8 years of something else." Grace gestured to the women around her. "Look at them, Diamond. Really look. 6 months ago, most of them were just like you. Scared. Angry. Fighting because they didn't know any other way. Now they're different." "Different how? They have hope. They have each other. They have something worth fighting for that isn't just survival." Diamond was quiet. Her crew shifted uneasily behind her. "You're asking me to give up everything," she finally said. "I'm asking you to gain something better. And what happens to my people, the ones who followed me? They can follow you here, into something new, or they can stay where they are. The choice is theirs, and yours." The standoff stretched. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then Diamond did something that shocked everyone in that room. She sat down. Just sat down on the floor, like she couldn't hold herself up anymore. Like the weight she'd been carrying for 12 years had finally become too heavy. "I don't know how to be anything else," she whispered. "This is all I've ever been." Grace knelt beside her. "That's what I thought too. 40 years ago, I was angry, I was violent, I hurt people because I didn't know how to stop, and then someone showed me another way." "Who?" "A woman named Linda Chen, a social worker who saw past my anger to the scared girl underneath. She didn't try to change me. She just showed me that change was possible." "And you think you can do that for me?" "I think you can do it for yourself. I can only show you the door. You have to walk through it." Diamond looked up at the women surrounding them. Faces that had once shown fear now showed something else. Not hatred, not contempt, something that might have been compassion. "Why?" Diamond asked. "Why would you help me after everything I've done? Because everyone deserves a chance. Even people who've done terrible things. Especially people who've done terrible things. That's what redemption means." Diamond was silent for a long time. Then she said 3 words that changed everything. "Teach me too." The next 2 weeks were chaos. Diamond's surrender sent shockwaves through the prison. Her crew fractured some, joined Grace's program, others scattered to form new alliances, a few tried to fill the power vacuum she left behind. But something had fundamentally shifted. The violence didn't stop completely. Nothing that simple ever happens. But it decreased. Dramatically. Women who had been enemies for years found themselves standing side by side in training sessions. Old grudges didn't disappear, but they became manageable. Grace worked with Diamond every day. Private sessions. Not teaching fighting Diamond already knew how to fight. Teaching something harder. How to let go. How to trust. How to be vulnerable without being weak. "I don't understand," Diamond said one evening. "You're leaving in a week. Why spend so much time on me?" "Because you're important." "Important how?" "Because if you can change, anyone can. Monica proved that. Now you're proving it again. Every person who transforms becomes proof that transformation is possible. That's a lot of pressure. It's also a lot of hope." Diamond shook her head. "I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop, for you to ask for something. Nobody does something for nothing." "I'm not asking for anything except this when you're ready to help someone else. The way I helped you, the way Linda helped me. Pass it on. And if I'm never ready, you'll be ready, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next month, but someday. I believe that." "Why?" "Because I see who you really are underneath all the armor, and she's worth believing in." 3 days before Grace's release. Warden Hayes called her to the office. "I wanted you to know, Huck," the warden said. "The program has been approved for expansion. 3 other facilities in Texas want to implement it." Grace sat down heavily. That's incredible." "It's your legacy, Mrs. Whitfield. What you built here is spreading, changing things beyond these walls. It wasn't me, it was the women. They did the work." "They did. But you showed them it was possible. That matters." Hayes handed Grace a folder. "There's something else. I've written a letter for your early release review, and letters recommending Monica and Rosa for program leadership positions, official positions, with resources, with support." Grace looked at the documents, her vision blurred with tears. Thank you for reminding me why I took this job in the first place." The night before Grace's release, Monica organized a ceremony. The recreation hall was packed. Every woman in the program was there, plus dozens of others who had heard what was happening. Rosa spoke first. 8 months ago, I was nothing. I was surviving, but I wasn't living. I had given up hope that things could ever be different. She looked at Grace. Then this old lady showed up and changed everything. She didn't do it by telling us what to do. She did it by showing us who we could be, by believing in us when we didn't believe in ourselves. Monica spoke next. "I tried to hurt her. The day we met, I tripped her in the cafeteria, ordered my crew to attack her, and she still gave me a chance. She still saw something worth saving." Her voice broke. "I'm alive because of Grace Whitfield, not physically, emotionally, spiritually. She brought back a part of me I thought was dead, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of that gift." One by one, women spoke. Jackie, Destiny, Keisha, Tasha, even Diamond, standing awkwardly at the back, managed a few words. "I fought her for months. Did everything I could to break what she was building, and she still offered me mercy. I don't understand it, but I'm grateful for it." When it was Grace's turn to speak, she couldn't. She stood in front of 87 women, her students, her family, her legacy, and the words wouldn't come. Finally, she managed to speak. "I came here expecting to be forgotten. An old woman serving out her sentence quietly in a corner. Instead, I found something I thought I'd lost forever." She looked around the room. "My father taught me that kung fu means skill achieved through hard work. He taught me that true strength isn't about fighting. It's about becoming. Becoming stronger. Becoming better. Becoming the person you were meant to be." Her voice steadied. "All of you have done that work. You've become stronger. You've become better. You've become people your families can be proud of. People you can be proud of." She paused. "Tomorrow I walk out those gates, but I'm not leaving you. I'll never leave you, because what we built together doesn't end when I go. It lives on in every one of you, in every person you help, in every life you change." Grace touched her heart. "You're all carrying a piece of me now, and I'm carrying pieces of all of you. That's what family means. Distance doesn't break it. Time doesn't break it. Nothing breaks it." The room was silent. Then someone started clapping. Then everyone was clapping and crying and hugging. Grace was surrounded by arms, by tears, by love. This was her legacy, not the fighting, not the forms, the people. Morning came too fast. Grace packed her few belongings in a small bag, her books, some letters, a photograph Rosa had drawn of their group. Monica and Rosa walked her to the gate. "I don't know how to say goodbye," Rosa said. "Then don't. Say see you later." "See you later," Rosa hugged her tight. "Thank you for everything." Monica was next. She held Grace for a long time without speaking. "Take care of them," Grace finally said. "I will." "And take care of yourself." "I'm trying." Monica pulled back. "Grace, I never asked. What happens after you leave? Where do you go?" "Home, San Francisco. My studio is still there, empty but waiting." "Will you teach again?" Grace smiled. "I never stopped teaching. I just found new students." The gate opened. Grace stepped through. Emily was waiting on the other side, her daughter now middle-aged with tears streaming down her face. "Mom? Emily?" They embraced. Mother and daughter reunited after 18 months of separation. "Take me home," Grace said. Emily led her to the car. As they drove away, Grace looked back at the prison one last time. She could see figures at the fence. Monica, Rosa, others, watching her go. She raised her hand in farewell. They raised theirs back. 6 months after her release, Grace reopened her studio. Not for regular classes, for a new program. Self-defense for survivors. Women who had experienced violence abuse trauma. Women who needed to remember their strength. Monica sent her letters every week. Updates on the program, stories of new students, challenges, and victories. The program had expanded to 7 facilities across Texas. More were planned. Rosa was released 4 months after Grace. She showed up at the studio on her first day of freedom. "I didn't know where else to go, she said. "You came to the right place." Rosa became Grace's assistant, then her partner. The studio grew. They hired other instructors, former students from the prison who had been released and wanted to keep teaching. Monica was released 2 years later, her sentence reduced for good behavior and program leadership. She moved to Houston and started her own program for at-risk youth. Diamond served 6 more years. When she got out, she contacted Grace. "I don't know what to do with myself." "What do you want to do?" "Help somehow, the way you helped me." Grace sent her to Monica. Diamond became a counselor working with gang-involved women who reminded her of who she used to be. Jackie's daughter grew up healthy and strong. Every year on the anniversary of her rescue, Jackie sent Grace a photo. The girl smiling, the girl graduating, the girl going to college. Grace kept every photo. 10 years after her release, Grace received an invitation, a ceremony at the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. They were naming a program after her, the Grace Whitfield Rehabilitation Initiative. It operated in 23 facilities. It had helped over 4,000 women. Grace didn't want to go. "It's not about me," she told Emily. "It was never about me." "That's exactly why you should go, to show them what's possible." Monica called, Rosa called, Diamond called. They were all going. They wanted her there. Grace went. The auditorium was packed. Corrections officers, social workers, former inmates, politicians, media. When Grace walked in, the room stood. She walked to the podium on legs that weren't as steady as they used to be. 83 years old now. Her body was failing, but her spirit was stronger than ever. "I didn't plan this," she began. "Any of it. I was an old woman who made a mistake. Tax evasion. Not proud of it. I went to prison expecting to disappear, to be forgotten." She looked out at the faces watching her. "Instead, I found something I didn't know I was looking for. A purpose, a community, a family." Her eyes found Monica in the crowd. Rosa, Diamond, women she had taught who had gone on to teach others. "I'm not special. I'm just someone who refused to give up, who refused to believe that people couldn't change, who refused to accept that fear was the only way to survive." Her voice strengthened. "Every person in this room has the power to change someone's life. Not through violence, not through intimidation, through belief, through patience, through love." She paused. "My father taught me that Kung Fu means skill achieved through hard work. He also taught me that the greatest skill isn't fighting. It's becoming. Becoming who you're meant to be, helping others become who they're meant to be." Grace straightened to her full height. "That's what we built, not a fighting program. A becoming program. A place where people remember that they matter, that they have value, that they deserve a chance." She looked directly at the camera. "To anyone watching who thinks they're too broken, too far gone, too old, too damaged to change, you're wrong. I was 73 years old when I started this. 73. If I can change the world at 73, what's your excuse? The audience laughed, then applauded. Grace waited for silence. One last thing. There's a saying in martial arts. The master has failed more times than the student has tried. That's true. I failed constantly. I failed people. I failed myself. But I kept trying, and eventually trying became succeeding. She stepped back from the podium. Keep trying, keep failing, keep getting up. That's all any of us can do. That's all any of us need to do. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. After the ceremony, Grace found a quiet corner away from the crowd. Monica found her there. You okay? Tired, but good. They stood together in comfortable silence. Grace, can I ask you something? Always? Do you ever regret it? Any of it going to prison? Everything that happened after? Grace thought about the question for a long time. I regret the crime. The mistake that put me there. But everything else. She shook her head. That prison gave me something I didn't know I needed. A chance to matter one more time. A chance to prove that age doesn't steal your purpose. It just changes it. And if you could do it all over, so I'd do it exactly the same. Every moment, every struggle, every victory, every failure. Grace looked at Monica. Because all of it led to this. To you, to Rosa, to Diamond, to 4,000 women whose lives are different because we refuse to give up. Monica hugged her. I love you. You know that, right? I know. I love you too. They walked back to the reception together. Emily was waiting. Ready to go home, Mom? Grace looked around the room one last time. At the people she had helped. At the legacy she had built. At the proof that one person could change the world, even when the world insisted it was impossible. Yes, she said. I'm ready. She walked out into the sunlight. Her father's voice echoed in her memory. Grace, the universe puts us where we're needed, not where we're comfortable. She had been needed in that prison. She had answered the call, and thousands of lives were different because of it. That was enough. That was everything. Grace Whitfield had walked into prison as a convicted criminal. She had walked out as a legend, not because she was strong, not because she could fight, because she refused to believe that people were beyond saving, because she never stopped teaching, because she never stopped believing, and because in the end, love was always stronger than fear. Always,